It's Sean Carter-Villas with you on Sportsline on Nation FM. Now let's talk cricket. A great memory from 1996. It's 20 years since Kenya beat the West Indies. And let's speak to a man who played in that game, the former captain of the Kenya national team, Aasif Karim. Aasif, a very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Sean.
Aasif, 1996, the golden days of cricket. What are your memories of that game, first of all?
Well, it's something that we started remembering last month. That is now nearly 20 years in terms of really what happened. But it seems like just the other day. I mean, it was just wonderful days of Kenya cricket. It was the beginning of the rise as far as international cricket for Kenya was concerned. It's something that I think all the players and all the spectators and the fans who are following Kenyan cricket will remember that day as long as they live in this world.
All right. Where was it, by the way?
This was in Pune, in India.
Yeah, okay. And of course, if I'm not wrong, that was the World Cup, huh?
Absolutely. It was the World Cup. It was our first major win at international level. And that win opened a lot of doors for Kenya cricket because a year later, we got the one-day international status. We qualified for the World Cup of 1999 for England. And then, of course, the fantastic performance we had in 2003 World Cup, where we reached the semi-final.
All right. Seeing some of the players who were playing in this game on Sunday, really household names, Maurice Adumbe, Steve Tikolo, Jimmy Kamande, there's also Martin and Tony Suchi, Tariq Iqbal, Tito Odumbe, Thomas Adoya, the list goes on. We've had some great players over the years, huh?
Absolutely. All the names that you've mentioned have done great service for our country and have played a very important role in Kenya's cricket success in the 90s.
Now, if we go back to 2003, that's probably Kenya's greatest moment. In fact, I was in Durban that day when Kenya qualified for the semi-finals of the World Cup. Really, after that, it was never the same, huh?
Absolutely. It's a very unfortunate situation because it took a complete nosedive, whereas teams that we were way ahead of, like Bangladesh, took a complete reverse, and you can see how well they have done in the last 5-7 years. The Bangladesh cricket has really moved leaps and bounds, whereas the cricketing world was expecting Kenya cricket really to move up. It was the other way around, and it's a very sad and very painful when we talk about this because a lot of hard work was done by the administrators then, the players, the supporters, the business community. So it's a great shame that the platform was all ready and we just missed the boat terribly.
Yes, as you were mentioning, of course, as a former player and also captain as well, very painful to see the decline of cricket. What are your thoughts on the state of the game at the moment?
I think we are at the completely on our knees, and I would entirely hold the responsibility to the administration of Kenya cricket. I mean, the only way the cricket can improve is that we must involve all the stakeholders. We must have a very good development structure from the under-13s to the 15s to the 17s, because that's going to be your feeding system, and that's not rocket science. All successful sporting nations, whether it's cricket or football or any sport, we will have a nursery to give the feeding system. And more importantly, we need to have a very competitive domestic sports, which we are lacking right now. It was very strong in the 80s and 90s, and that was one of the reasons of why Kenya succeeded later on. So it's important that we need to go back, address where we've gone wrong. We need to start rebuilding, and I think if all the stakeholders come in and we are all claim to love the sport of cricket, then it will take us at least 7 to 10 years really to come back to a high level.
Yeah, I guess it's easier said than done, huh?
Absolutely, but I think it's the will that is required from the leadership. It's got to be the will from the national body and the provincial bodies, and we need to bring in the past cricketers to come in. And of course, there were some very good past administrators that also need to come in. So I have many times in my own writings, wherever I do write about Kenya cricket, I am requesting that the board needs to call a stakeholders meeting, a 2-day workshop or a 3-day workshop, where we need to take stock of what has happened, where did we go wrong, and how can we now come back to improve, because this sport was there before us, it's there now, and it's going to be there after we leave. So what legacy are we leaving for the future generation? And I think it's the responsibility of this generation to try and salvage the situation.
Now, the local league is still active. What are your thoughts on the standard of the game?
As I said earlier, as much as I hate to say it, it's at the lowest. I mean, there are no discipline. There's no competition of any substance. We have lost the cricket lovers who used to come and watch every Sunday. We have lost the business community. So unless we entice the youngsters and we entice the business community and entice the people to come in, that will motivate a lot of players to come back into cricket, so that we make this sport back to what it was in the 90s.
Are you optimistic? Can the game rise back?
Well, nothing is impossible. As I said, it's the will that has got to be there. We have got to be sincere with our weaknesses that we have gone through. We need to accept and give respect to the people who have done service to this country in administration or as players who can contribute to the matter. And I think that will show the leadership that we have. And unless and until we are sincere, I find it extremely difficult for us to progress. And I hope what I'm saying is incorrect, that cricket will improve immediately, but I really see no light in the tunnel at the rate we are going at the moment.
Now, one of the greats, of course, you've spoken about people who have done a great service to this nation. He was a very controversial figure. Maurice Adumbe, famously, of course, gone through hard times. Is there anything being done by the cricket community to help him?
You see, and I think you put it absolutely correctly. He's one of the great cricketers we had in Kenya. I have closely played with him. I have seen him at the closest quarters. He has done one of the greatest service for Kenya cricket over the years that he played. He has performed most meticulously, very well respected as a cricketer internationally. Of course, he got into his controversy. He paid the price for it. For 5 years, he was banned and all that. And I see no reason why he can still not come back and give his experience, whether it's coaching the junior team or giving being a consultant to the national team or something. But the national body has completely ignored him, and I find it a great tragedy that an ambassador of such caliber, who has done so well for the nation, has just been discarded, and he's more like a street boy at the moment. And it's very painful to see him the situation that he is in.
All right, and finally, just going back to the Nairobi Gymkhana, it is on Sunday, this match. What's happening exactly?
Well, I think it's the idea was mooted last month on how we can, kind of try and remember. And I would have expected the national body really to take this lead, but they haven't done it. There are a couple of individuals who have taken the lead, and now I understand the provincial body has come in. So, but the idea is just to bring in all the players who are part of that era, be it the 96 World Cup or the 99 World Cup or the 203 World Cup. It's just a get-together. I think the game starts around 1 o'clock. It's just going to be a fun game. It's just, maybe reconnect with some of the players that most of us have lost touch with one another. So it'll be nice to see all these old players again and, have a good laugh, have a good game, have a meal maybe after the game, and just reminisce the good old days of cricket.
All right. Thanks very much. And of course, we really appreciate you taking the time out to speak to us. There's some fantastic memories. 20 years ago this year that Kenya beat the West Indies, the former captain of the Kenya national team, Aasif Karim. Thank you so much for speaking to us on Nation FM.
Most welcome, Sean. And you're doing a fantastic good job, and carry on the good job that you're doing at Nation FM.
Dominating the airwaves with sports coverage second to none. Nation FM Sports with Sean Cutter-Village.
Want to sell an